afternoon, guys. Welcome to the Facebook Live of Matrix Comsec. This is your host Chintan Bora from the marketing team of Matrix Comsec. And today we are going to talk about the user body temperature screening solution, a newest addition. I'm super excited to introduce you, to show you what our solution is. So in today's session, we are going to see what the what's and hows of what this solution is, how does it work. The second step, we'll be seeing the ideal condition to set this up. How are you going to set this up in your premise? And to top it off, in the last, we are actually going to see the live performance of how the current setup that we have had here for the demonstration for understanding this solution. We're actually going to see, we're going to mimic a scenario when actually people are stepping in the morning to come into the office. Right. So as we know, in the current times of COVID, with the government guidelines, it is compulsory to screen the body temperature of every user, may it be shops, may it be malls, may it be hospitals, any particular location, may it be your office. You are seeing that at every entry point there is a guy with an infrared thermometer in the form of an IR gun, and he's measuring your body temperature in order to make sure that you are eligible to walk into that particular premise. Now that solution is accurate, but the problem with this solution is that you have to maintain manual logs, especially for an office or a manufacturing space. It becomes a real challenge, and it's a very tedious process where the person has to record the individual's name and record the human body temperature, and hence comes the scope of a human error. So the recording tends to be very much inaccurate. So in order to solve this challenge, we have come up with this new solution where we are automating this entire process of temperature screening, and we have combined this temperature screening function with the function of time attendance and access control. So this entire function of time and attendance of your employee, his body temperature screening and his access control, everything happens at once, just within few seconds. So it's a super convenient, super easy and very fast and accurate solution that we have come up with. So let's now get into understanding what is this entire process. So I can briefly classify this entire process into two simple steps. The first step is the identification of the user who is coming in for his temperature screening. So this identification is basically going to happen either by his biometric credentials like his face or his palm wave, which are both contactless credentials, or we can also identify the users by non-biometric credentials like the RFID card, traditional RFID tags, or the mobile credentials, which are the new trending credentials like the Bluetooth or scanning a QR code and identifying the user. So now once the user is identified, we move towards the step 2. The step 2 is the temperature screening of the particular user who's coming in and making sure that he's within the threshold limits, that he's in a good health and he's eligible for the access of that particular premise. Now let's go into understanding how do we set this entire thing up, how do we make sure that so many checkpoints are ticked correctly. So for this entire solution, currently I have a setup ready over here as you are seeing. It's a setup of face recognition along with temperature screening solution. So in this, let me take you in this entire setup step by step. The first component that we are going to talk about is the IP camera. So this is a Matrix Satatya 2 megapixel IP camera of an industry standard, and the main function of this camera is to detect the face of the user. Flexibility that we get with this particular solution of face recognition is we can either mount this camera on a wall, or we can also mount this camera on a ceiling, and it can detect the face of a human person at a distance of 8 to 10 feet as well. So once this face is detected, we have integrated this IP camera with our access control device, the Matrix standalone access control device. Right now I have Matrix Comsec Argo device with which we have integrated this camera. So you can even see the live feed of this camera is actually being seen in the screen of Comsec Argo over here. So let me just show you. I'm waving my hand in front of the camera and you can see this is the live feed of this particular camera. So the face detection happens with the camera. Now comes the second step where the identification happens via the face recognition, and that is done by Comsec Argo. The function of Comsec Argo is to do time attendance, and it is also connected with the door lock, may it be an electromagnetic door lock or a bolt lock. So the door lock is directly connected with this access control device. It's a standalone IP onboard access control device with which it is connected. So this will basically do the time attendance and access control part, and the addition that we are doing to this entire setup is adding an infrared thermal sensor that you see over here. So this is the infrared thermal sensor which we have added to this entire setup, and the best and the easiest part is we simply mount this as an accessory by just simply connecting the USB with this Comsec Argo device. It is as simple. It's a simple plug and play solution wherein just like you connect a USB of your mouse or a keyboard with your laptop or your desktop. It's as simple. You simply connect with the USB and you are ready to go. Your physical setup is done. Talking about the compatibility of this IR sensor. This IR sensor is compatible with other Comsec standalone devices like the Comsec Door series. So it is compatible with Comsec Door FOT, Comsec Door FOP, Comsec Door PVR, which is the palm vein reader, and the Comsec Door FMX device. It is also compatible with Comsec Vega series. So Comsec Vega CAX and Comsec Vega FAX devices. The IR sensor is compatible with those devices as well. So now coming to the second part, so this is the second component, which is the standalone access control device, and then the thermal sensor. Let's talk right now about this thermal sensor solution. So the ideal mounting condition for this particular thermal sensor, as you can see, we provide you with a clamp, which is an adjustable clamp wherein you can adjust the angle of the IR sensor based on the premise where you are going to particularly install this device. So we suggest that you install this device at a height of 5 feet from the ground and at an inclined angle of 30 degrees. So that's the ideal condition. Looking at the features of this particular thermal sensor. So this thermal sensor is, the accuracy of this sensor is plus or minus 0.3 degrees Celsius, and that is actually very accurate in this particular scenario where we want to do the temperature screening of a person. Second step, the measuring distance. Now it is very important that the user is standing at an ideal position so that correct temperature readings are taken. So the ideal distance for a user to stand in front of this sensor is 300 to 400 mm. So that is approximately 30 to 40 centimeters. He has to stand in front of this sensor in order to make sure that we take accurate readings. And the last and the very important point over here is that this entire setup, either you do this entire setup in an indoor location, and if you have to install it in an outdoor location, you have to make sure that it is having a proper shade. It's a shaded location. This is to make sure that the ambient temperature of the entire area is constant. It is not varying here and now, it's not varying. So it is very important to get proper temperature readings. The ambient temperature of the entire area should be constant. So that's why we suggest you either install it indoor, that's the best practice. If the facility is not there, have a proper shade for it so that the ambient temperature around the setup is constant. So these are the ideal conditions for this setup. Now let us go through the entire process of how the setup is to be done. We have the setup ready over here for you. So before we start with the actual process, the very important step that comes over here is the admin has to now set a threshold temperature. A threshold temperature is basically the temperature which is going to be the defining temperature whether I am going to allow the user beyond this particular temperature or not. So that's the threshold temperature which the admin has to set. Now talking about the process, just a second. Okay. Now talking about the process, it's a very simple process. The user simply has to walk up to this device. He has to look in the camera. His face will be detected. As soon as his face is detected, it will trigger this particular Argo device and it will recognize the face, and the Argo device will now send the signal. It will activate this thermal sensor to sense the body temperature of the user who is standing in front of this particular Argo device, and his body temperature, temperature in real time will be taken. Once the temperature is taken based on the threshold temperature which I mentioned that the admin has to set beforehand, if the body temperature is less than the threshold temperature, he will be allowed into the space, he will be allowed the access and the entry. And if it is more than the threshold temperature, then the access will be denied. So that's how the entire process works. So quite a lengthy explanation I know, but a real simple application of this entire process. So we'll just see right now. I'll come in front of this camera for my face recognition and temperature screening, and we'll actually see how quickly and how fast this entire process happens in a couple of minutes. So I'm coming in front of the camera now. So the first step is detection of my face. So my face is already detected, and as you can see, I can see in real time. I'll do it once again. I can see in real time my employee ID, my name, and the temperature which it has detected, that is 96.2 degree Fahrenheit. For the body temperature, we also have the option. We have the option of setting the units either in degree Fahrenheit or degree Celsius. So this is how simple and convenient this entire solution is particularly. Now let us test it. What happens in case that someone is walking in with an elevated human body temperature. So to show this setup, what we are going to do is, I have a cup with hot water, and we are going to mimic it for a person who is coming with an elevated body temperature. Can I have the cup of water, please? So this is the cup of water that is at an elevated temperature. Let us just see it with the temperature gun. As you can see, it is coming high, so the temperature is higher. And now we'll test how it fares in front of this sensor. So instead of my forehead, I am showing this cup. And as you can see, the user is denied, and you can see the elevated temperature, that is 107.4 degree Fahrenheit. So the temperature is exceeded the threshold temperature, and we are going to deny the user. So now talking about the actions that are supposed to be taken when the user is allowed or denied. So we give real-time alerts and notifications in the form of real-time SMS notification, real-time email notifications, and real-time app-based notifications. So when the user is allowed, he sees his own notification right there on the device with the buzzer, and when it is denied, he can also see it right there in the device and the buzzer. Now it is very important for us to make sure that whenever someone is coming with an elevated temperature, the right authorities are addressed and they are informed that someone is coming up. So based on the criticality of the situation, how severe the situation and the condition is, what we can also do is we can integrate a real-time alarm directly with this access control device. So if the body temperature is higher, the alarm will set off in that particular time to notify everyone over there. The second option is sending the notifications to the in charge in real time, so he'll be getting the alerts. And in the command and control center setup, you can see these things as an exception as well. So we have the entire system to make sure that whenever someone is coming with an elevated temperature, the right authorities are addressed in the real time. The notifications are addressed in the real time to make sure everything functions well. Now the best part about this is this entire process is working on auto push technology. So in real time, all the data, all the records and logs of the user is going into the system, and you get it in real time. So as I talk about the SMS and email, it is the result of the auto push technology that we have with our entire setup and solution. So proper logs and records are maintained. Every user can log in into his own mobile phone application, and he can record and see his logs as well. So this is how this entire setup has been designed in order to make sure that it is simple but it is accurate and convenient for the users. So now what we are going to do is, I have invited few of my colleagues, and we are actually going to mimic a real-time scenario. Let's say mimicking a real-time scenario of a morning in your office when your employees are coming into the office. So we are actually going to see how super easy and convenient it is for them. So one by one, people will come in, step in, and let's see what happens. Let's start this. So as you can see, in a matter of few seconds, all the employees get the access. Their time attendance is done, their temperature screening is done, all the recording has been reported to the system. The in charge is aware of what is happening, and their access control has also been taken care of. So that's the beauty of this entire system. Super fast, super easy and convenient. Very simple to plug in. It's a plug and play thermal sensor that we have simply mounted with a USB, and we have the solution. So that is it with the entire explanation of this particular solution that we have for body temperature screening. If you guys have any questions, you can drop it in the comments, or you can write to us on inquiry@matrixcomsec.com, and we'll be happy to help you with all the other questions that you might have for this particular solution that we have designed for you. And at a parting note, I have good news that I would like to leave you guys on with. That currently we are having a solution for all the registered employees of the organization to automate the attendance and the access process. Very soon we are coming out with a solution wherein we will be able to measure the temperature of non-registered users as well. So that will also include all the different non-registered users like the visitors or the the delivery guys, or whosoever is, or a stranger who is stepping into your office, to make sure their temperature screening is also done. So very soon we'll be coming with the second live session for this particular solution. We'll be introducing you to the solution which our R&D team is already working on, and we're going to present that to you as well. So stay tuned with us. Any questions about this solution, please drop it on the comments or write back to us, and we'll be happy to answer you. Thank you guys. Amazing connect with you. Stay healthy, stay safe. Thanks.